Good afternoon, it's Kirsten here from Kirsten Foss Coaching, and I'm here for another Thursday Spa Business Break where I am giving you weekly tips and advice about your leadership and your spa business systems. So today I want to, as promised from last week, talk about client retention. So last week I was bringing up some techniques for you to dial into your December marketing because you're less than a month away and you really need to get on it ASAP. But here's the thing is that if you do your work on your marketing and yet you have a leaky client retention problem, meaning that clients are coming in, but they're not rebooking, or they're not rebooking at the time that they leave the appointment, or they're just simply not rebooking at all. You've got a leaky bucket and we need to fix that ASAP before you spend more time trying to fill the bucket with your marketing with more clients. So it's a lot of work if you are spending time and money on your marketing, but you're unable to retain them. So there's two pieces of your clientele: the attraction and the retention. So the first point I want to make to you, and I want you to write these down because they're practical, tactical things that you can start doing this week, in fact, today. So the first thing I want you to do is to go through the guest experience, the client experience in your spa like a client would, and analyze if there's any places in there that you've got some gaps. So maybe try phoning and seeing what your team and your reception says when they pick up the phone. Maybe you have a secret shopper go through to do the same process. But however you want to do it, you need to have fresh eyes on the guest experience, because we know what it's like when we're at the spa working. We just don't see things the way that a new client would see things. And you quite possibly could have some missing pieces or some spots that need some fine tuning or zhuzhing up that would make the whole guest experience that much more incredible for them. And when you make the guest experience incredible, that is part of how you retain your clients. So go through your guest experience from the phone call, maybe through even trying to book an appointment. Perhaps you set up your booking system online a long time ago and the process could be go much more smoothly. I've actually experienced this myself as a spa consumer. I'll go to the booking site and go on their site, click on the booking link, and it's kind of confusing in there. And I know that what's happened is the spa owner hasn't been in to the client-facing aspects of their booking, and they just are not seeing the confusion that the client meets when they get there. So phone call, booking, email, test it out and see what is coming back as the client. Walk through the spa when you walk through the door, looking at it with the eyes of a brand new client. What does your reception area look like? Do your baseboards need to be touched up with paint? Is it just kind of looking a little messy-ish and not not quite as pristine as you want it to be? How are your guests being greeted? What are the scripting? So there's all sorts of pieces in the guest experience that I know that you could probably have a little bit of fine tuning, that when you fine tune little pieces along the way, it can give you quite incredible results. So we've got the phone call, the arrival, the actual service. When was the last time you had a service by one of your staff members? When was the last time you've had a secret shopper go through and then fill out a form to give you that kind of information? How are your staff giving consultations? Are they using the right kind of scripts that you want them to be? Is there places where you're like, ooh, that doesn't sound so good, or ooh, there's a huge gap in this process? Another place is with checkout. What's being said at checkout? How is it being handled? And the final piece is the follow-up. Are you following up with clients? Are your team members following up with clients? So you get what I'm saying, that go through the whole guest experience and make notes to see where things can be improved. I know that there's always places that can be improved, no matter how long you've been in business. All right, the next step from that is to go through and start fixing those pieces. So we know that December typically ramps up with all the holiday shopping and people coming in and wanting more services. So November is a perfect time to clean up your guest experience. So like you're actioning all that stuff out. So maybe you need to fine tune your system. Maybe you need to create better scripts. Maybe there needs to be a spa cleanup. Maybe there's a little bit of paint that needs to go on, but maybe you're actually identifying a bigger issue and there's actually some training that needs to, there's some retraining that needs to happen. Kind of stressful when you realize there's pieces there like, ooh, I'm kind of dropping the ball, but you have to know those pieces. That's part of being a leader, okay? All right. The third piece that I want to share with you as far as a client retention tactic is to possibly have a pre-booking offer. So I'm sure you've heard of this before. It's not a new tactic, but it really does work. So you would have, when people are checking out, you would have some sort of draw that's by the reception. If they are pre-booking their appointment, they can put their name and phone number in the draw, and of course you can rotate what the gift is at the end of the month. And you can use this process in your marketing to give you some more visibility. So you can do the draw on social media, and then you can repurpose that video in an email. You could repurpose it on your website if you wanted to. I've seen some salons and spas do pre-booking offers where they're asking to have 2 appointments booked out. It's going to be a little bit harder for people to commit to that. So I would start off with just having them pre-book their next appointment. Now, if they cancel that appointment, then they forfeit their ballot into the prize, right? That's just how it works. Okay, number 4 for client retention is to use a bounce back offer. Now there's lots of businesses, really big and really small, that use these offers. One really big corporate, one that you might have seen if you've got kids especially, is Old Navy. They always have bounce back coupons, and what they do is they give them out when you're at cash out, and once you've finished, they put it into your bag for you. Similar kind of offer, but similar kind of concept, but you can do it much better as a spa. So with bounce backs, especially with first-time clients, this is how I use my bounce backs. I had a whole bunch of postcards made up with my logo on the front, and each new client was given a postcard. It was attached to their client file while they're in the spa, and the service provider, it was attached to their client file, and the service provider's job was to, once they filled out the client information as far as what the treatment was, they had to fill out this postcard as a thank you. So it was just a quick little message. Hey, Sarah, thanks so much for coming in today. It was great to meet you. If you have any questions about the treatment we did today, please don't hesitate to reach out. Please use this postcard as a 15% off, 10% off, maybe it's an eye treatment, whatever offer you want to do, label the offer right into that bounce back. The clincher here is that you have to put on an expiry date. So 3 months, 90 days from the time of their service is that expiry. And the reason why is because that is how you want to measure your client retention rates. They should have 90 days to come back. If they haven't come back in 90 days, it's a red flag. So that's why we want to have that expiry on there to encourage them to use it ASAP and come back within those 90 days. Now, you could even take this a step farther and have a second bounce back for that first time client. So when they do come back within the 90 days, there's a second offer that goes out after their treatment. And I would be really strategic about that as far as where do you want to be funneling clients into, like as far as which kind of services do you want to be promoting more. So if you're wanting to do more facials, then that second bounce back could be a hydrating eye treatment, or whatever. It could be really anything. There's lots of stuff that you guys can add to that. So that's bounce backs, number 4. Number 5, my last tactic here for you to help increase your client retention. Hey, Lynn, great to see you. I think Shannon's here as well. The 5th client retention tactic is to do follow-up calls. Now, I know this stresses some of you out because you're afraid that you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to bug people. You're worried that, oh, maybe they didn't like it. What if I hear some bad news? What if they have a complaint about it? I want to assure you that although those are fears, they're not real fears, because the fact of the matter is, as the leader of your business, you sometimes need to hear the hard stuff. So if you do a follow-up call with the intention of, hi, I'm just going to take your example, Lynn. Hi, this is Lynn. from Beyond Beauty. You were in a few days ago, and I'm just calling to check to see how your service was and if you had any questions. Please feel free to reach out to me. This is my personal, or this is my my direct number, because sometimes people don't want to give feedback to whoever was giving the service or who was at reception, because possibly they had an issue with either of those two touch points and they're not comfortable talking to those people. I totally get it. I've been in that situation too, where you're just like, oh, I really want to say something, but it's going to fall on flat ears because it was, I don't know, I can't really trust that the process is going to get fixed because it was with the service provider I was having the issue with. So follow-up calls, the intention is really to be in service to your clients. And you don't need to do this with every single client every single week. After that first initial follow-up call with that new client, then you can do random follow-up calls with through the week, just picking and choosing a few people if you have a large team, just to cherry pick and just to make sure that everything is going okay. But follow-up calls show you care. Now, and that's, the piece as far as I don't want to bug people about calling. Hardly anybody gets called anymore. Everybody gets emails. So I'm going to say, don't follow up with an email because it's not as personal. If they don't call you back, they don't call you back. But the intention here is that you are going above and beyond to be of service to your client. If there is a problem, they will call you back. If they have a question, they will call you back if they haven't answered the phone. All right, so those are my 5 tactics for you to help you increase your client retention. And some of you are, there are client retention metrics that you want to be paying attention to, but part of the problem is some of the software that you guys are using doesn't give accurate client retention metrics or reports. So sometimes it's hard for you guys to know whether or not you do have healthy retention or not. So I encourage you to go through your booking system, if you have one, and start looking for some sort of client retention report. They may not call it a client retention. You may need to contact your booking software to ask them, where do I find this kind of report? And if they don't have it, I would ask them to, I'd ask them to, that you're requesting that this report be added to the suite of reports that your system has, because it's a critical piece of our business. There is no use, keep plugging in money and time into marketing if you are not retaining your clients. You end up being this bucket with tons of holes in it, literally a bucket of money with tons of holes in it, and the money is just kind of falling out almost as fast as it's coming in. Okay, so those are my tactics to help you have a busy January, to be able to leverage what's happening in December so that you're busy in January. All right, thank you so much for joining me for today's Spa Business Break. I will be here next Thursday. Thanks, Lynn. Bye.